I know would benefit Canada.
I like this idea, and at least half of Canadians are interested.
Right. Hey, that's funny.
But they did not meet with Trump. They met with Trump's leaders.
Who may or may not be Fidel Castro's son. In any case. By the way, he's totally Fidel Castro's son. Anyway.
The U.S. dollar and the Canadian dollar used to be kind of close together.
Justin, I want to teach you a lesson.
Trudeau's top minister at Marago to discuss border security. Okay, Trudeau's top minister at Marago to discuss border security. So Dominic LeBlanc and former Foreign Minister Melanie Joly met the U.S. Commerce Secretary nominee Howard Lutnick and Interior Department nominee Doug Burgum at Mar-a-Lago to discuss Canada's border plan. The plan includes installing surveillance towers along the border and amid the Canada's border, what is it? Amid the what? Amid, along with arming the Canada Border Services Agency with more helicopters, drones, and workers, while also addressing the harm caused by fentanyl and the potential negative impact of a proposed 25% tariff on Canadian goods. Lutnick and Burgum agree to relay these updates to President Trump, so they did not meet with Trump. They met with Trump's leaders. And then Kevin O'Leary comes out and says the following, and then, Tom, I'm going to come to you right after this. Rob, if you got the Kevin O'Leary clip.
I'm ready.
He makes a comment about how half of Canadians feel about Canada being the 51st states. Go ahead, Rob.
There's 41 million Canadians, basically the population of California, sitting on the world's largest amounts of all resources, including the most important, energy and water. Canadians, over the holidays, the last 2 days, have been talking about this. They want to hear more. And so, you know, there's obviously a lot of issues, more details, but what this could be is the beginning of an economic union. Think about the power of combining the two economies, erasing the border between Canada and the United States, and putting all that resource up to the northern borders where China and Russia are knocking on the door. So secure that, give a common currency, figure out taxes across the board, get everything trading both ways, create a new, almost EU-like passport. I like this idea, and at least half of Canadians are interested. The problem is the government's collapsing in Canada right now. Nobody wants Trudeau to negotiate this deal. I don't want him doing it for me, so I'm going to go to Mar-a-Lago. I'll start the narrative.
He's right. He's absolutely right. He ain't wrong. He's right. 100%. All right.
The 41 million Canadians,
Tom,
I think
thoughts?
most of them would trust me on this deal.
So here's what's going on. He brings up some very interesting point. The U.S. dollar and the Canadian dollar used to be kind of close together. You know what it is right now? A Canadian dollar, if you handed it to me in Buffalo, New York, because you came across to see Niagara Falls, you know how much I would give you? 70 cents U.S.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Little loonies.
So, and by the way, do you know when Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc and Foreign Minister Melanie Joly, wait a minute, your Finance Minister and your Foreign Minister come to Mar-a-Lago to talk to Commerce Secretary nominee Howard Lutnick. Finance? Foreign? Wait a minute. Maybe they're talking about an EU.
What a great point. I haven't heard anyone else make that point.
And by the way, you know, an EU would make sense because the U.S. is an energy exporter right now, and it would actually strengthen Canada. And what the U.S. doesn't need is a failed Canada, but the U.S. doesn't want to be the one that rescues Canada. And so what's going on right now is Canadians don't like their taxes. They don't like what's going on in immigration. And by the way,
And they hate their leader.
and by the way, guess what? Guess what the two number one and number two issues for Canada is as they push against Trudeau?
What?
The economy's number one. Guess what number two is?
What?
Immigration.
Oh, great.
Hey, that's funny. We had a similar election, and we elected a leader to lead. Canada's people and Kevin O'Leary are reacting to the leadership of Donald Trump, even as he carries the title of president-elect. And he's talking exactly about what happened in Europe when they harmonized things to stabilize those economies.
Tom, what's the likelihood of this happening?
I think it's probably 20% and rising, especially on the energy side. By the way, that guy that
let me ask, but the question I'm asking you is
of
not
an EU type treaty.
Yeah, no. What is between what U.S. and Canada?
Yeah, not a state, just an EU type
So
treaty.
the 51 state, that's not going to happen.
No, that'll happen to Puerto Rico sooner than that would ever happen in Canada.
Okay, so an EU-like treaty that would benefit U.S. in what way? I know would benefit Canada, where U.S. wouldn't put a tariff on them, but how does that benefit us?
Well, two things, right? If a somewhat stronger Canadian currency helps Canada, it actually helps us right now with the Canadian currency weak when we do energy trades, right? Because they have to pay us a whole lot more Canadian dollars, for the energy. So that helps us. But if we move it together on the northern edge, remember, I believe the number is 81% of Canada lives within 200 miles of the U.S. border, because you have Montreal, you have Vancouver, you have Toronto, and I think that's it. I think it's the 8,200. 80% of Canada lives within 200 miles of the U.S. border. And so you already have all of this. Yep, there it is. 93 miles. 80% of the population lives within 150 kilometers, only 90 miles. So you're basically talking suburbs of Buffalo, Detroit,
Right.
and Seattle. That's what you're talking about. Toronto is right there, Windsor Loch at Detroit, Buffalo and Montreal, right down the street from
So
each
the
other.
winner here is Canada more than it is U.S.
The winner here is a stabilized Canada, and to the U.S., a stabilized neighbor, I think is very positive. And you already have a lot of labor that goes back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of years, Ford has built tons of trucks right over the border in Canada, in Detroit. It looks like Detroit, because you say, well, where does Detroit stop and Toronto begin? I can't really tell you. It's the factories are right there. It's similar to Maquiladora's. Maquiladora meant little sister,
Adam?
I believe.
Yeah.
Tom, I know you're Canadian, so you have a vested interest in this, by the way.
Canadian descent.
Anyone we hear that reaches out on Manect, by the way, reached out on Manect to us, every single Canadian is like, dude, how the hell do I get out of Canada? What's going on in Florida? Can you get me to America? I'm like, what do I look like? Ice? How many messages do you get from people in Canada being like, get me out of this place?
For me, the number 2 country by a mile is Australia on Manect.
Really?
It's not even close.
Mine was, I was at Trader Joe's and a girl from Canada literally stops me and she goes, oh my God, I can't believe you're here. I'm like, so where you from? She goes, Canada. And I can hate it. And she's like, we're all everybody's trying to come here.
Yeah.
The president, Trudeau is horrible.
Yeah.
The taxes suck. The borders, I'm like, geez. I have not heard one person go, man,
life's
Canada,
good.
zero.
Yeah, every single
zero.
Did you hear what Ben Shapiro said about Trump and Trudeau? I think it was actually at Turning Point at AmFest. Did you hear what he said?
No.
The story? He goes,
Here's the story. President Trump's meeting with Justin Trudeau, who may or may not be Fidel Castro's son. In any case. And by the way, he's totally Fidel Castro's son. Anyway, he's meeting with Justin Trudeau, apparently during the first administration, and he is asking for a bunch of things, right, for Canada to do. And Trudeau doesn't want to give all of them. So Trump says to his people, bring Justin here, bring Justin to me. So apparently they sit across from one another. And Trudeau is talking with the president, and President Trump says, Justin, I want you to tell me, if there were one thing I could do tomorrow to completely wreck the Canadian economy, what would it be? And Trudeau goes, well, I mean, Mr. President, there are a lot of things. You're a very powerful country, but, if you tariffed our cars, it would be really, really bad. And Trump goes, Justin, I want to teach you a lesson. The first thing not to do in a negotiation is answer the question, if you could do one thing to destroy me, what would it be? So, of course, President Trump continues, I don't care about Canada. I only care about America. So I'm going to tariff all your cars unless you give me what you want. He got what he wanted. Okay, that's how I think President Trump thinks about tariffs.
anyway.
Yeah.
But Justin Trudeau, like I said last week, is a dead man walking. This guy Pierre Poilievre is a stud. He's eating his lunch every single week. And he's the guy that's going to be negotiating with Trump. We're going to see how it goes.
By the way, if they stabilize their economy and they lower their tax rate, those consumers are buying more stuff, and we're like their largest trading partner.